Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for being with us. Today we are going to have a Knowledge Translation Cancer Care Network Consortium, and most of our work has been in the interdisciplinary approaches to psychosocial oncology. So today we have a guest speaker with us, Prashant Kumar Pradhan, who has been part of the research grant. And I will briefly introduce myself, Saldanha-D'Souza, researcher at Thompson River University and principal investigator for the Breast Cancer Society of Canada and Thompson River University, working with different partners, Interior Health, BC Cancer, community organizations, and research team members. This research leads us to look at different envisioning priorities and processes and even the procedures that we have with psychosocial oncology with clients who work with cancer. So let me introduce Prashant Kumar here.
Hello. My name is Prashant, and I'm the graduate research assistant for the nursing team. And I'm also studying at Thompson River University doing my graduation. I'm glad to be part of this program.
Thank you, Prashant. It's good to have you here. Just to give us an insight into what's your role when you think about the research grant and about your vision for interdisciplinary approaches in psychosocial oncology. How do you envision that in your role here in the research grant?
I think my role is quite important because I need to analyze the data, survey data and response from the participants, because this gives you a clear-cut insight. What are the problems? What are the key insights there we have from the data, and how it is going to help in the future and provide recommendation to policies. So this is the one aspect. The second thing is because in BC we have cancer patients, and when I analyze this data, I also find something which can be done easily, and there are so many things that we can use with interdisciplinary approach. So that's my view on this.
So based on the research findings from the research participants in British Columbia, what is your recommendations, policy recommendations, and also strategic plan to have a Cancer Innovation Synergy Lab and a knowledge hub for participants and navigators in the region?
Yeah, actually, with the cancer patients data that we have seen, there are so many dimensions that just came up. Culture is one. Second is intervention, early intervention, I would say. And there is another targeted approach that we can say it's very necessary. So when it comes to interdisciplinary approach for this psychosocial cancer care intervention, it is important to understand those aspects, cultural sensitive things, include these things from an early point of view. It would be very good to include all of these from the education point of view, because researchers and caregivers, they are also going to have these insights, and they can provide so many things to implement.
I think it's valid that you bring about the point of implementation. So from the survey and the experiences of people and even the data that you're doing on cancer supportive care, what are the important priorities and you think directions we need to take for supporting people in cancer care, and also with looking at navigating their journey and helping them with facilitating psychosocial oncology and narrowing the gap so that they get appropriate supports during the journey, emotional and psychological and mental health and well-being, and how that takes place. What are the next steps in this?
Yeah, I think
policy?
When I was reading the data, when I was analyzing this whole research, I think one common theme that fascinated me is the fear. It's not only during the cancer, it is post-cancer as well. They have fear of economic well-being, they have fear of social well-being, they have fear of emotions and everything. So I think fear is one thing which may be addressed by target groups. That's the approach that we can use. And I think for healthcare authorities, it would be really good to understand these research, background of this research and outcome of this research. Like from this data, what we have seen, what are the evidences that we have? People are talking about their fear, and they don't have any targeted support. For an example, if we talk about culture, in this group of participants, there are different groups from culture point of view. They are lacking some sort of social and emotional support for their specific target group. So I think that's one of the key aspects that we can and healthcare authority can also look into it.
Yeah, like when you're saying about the participants, it also brings to mind that one of the important thing the participants said was a lot of them were like very satisfied with the care they receive with healthcare services and also with the cancer care treatment. And also sometimes even if they are approaching interdisciplinary approaches like complementary and alternative therapy, in the resources that they have in their community, and also if they have people to support them, the journey becomes much more easier. So choosing the decision to take a kind of a treatment and also after treatment what lies in their recovery and coping plays an important dimension when you think about psychosocial oncology.
Yeah.
There's also that piece of what competencies has a healthcare provider, because they play a major role and they do a very good aspect of looking at people and supporting people in their journey and restoring and promoting their health. But how else can this cultural competency and also the dimension of psychosocial competencies play a role for healthcare providers and participants? What do you see is the role of participants when they engage with their healthcare providers in seeking psychosocial support?
So alternative therapies and alternate options that people seek, I think that visibility should be there. They are getting support, but there is no voice out of the market or out of the this environment. Other people, how do they know that this support is available? So I think those social group, those target group, they can address this problem. They can, spread awareness. Leadership support from healthcare authorities is also essential, because they can also provide resources to promote these kind of supports, that it's available. How do people utilize them, especially in rural area where people are not aware about these supports, that it is available. So I think that's another aspect of this research that just came out, and I think it's really important to look into that as well.
Yeah, I think it's like a belonging when you talk about social inclusion and social justice.
Yeah.
And self-determination. There is a role that each one plays in the capacity that they are fulfilling to reach out to people and serve them, and also at the same time has research participants and has a participant in their own journey of healing and cancer. They are reaching out to services in the community and also outside the community and support within the health organization and also with their own family members. Like more better the social support they are receiving and psychosocial and education that helps them seeking treatment in a better way and also making informed decision. At the same time, it also helps them to look out for what supports they would need, like what better they can improve their health and even communicate with other people who are having cancer and also their family members who are going through that. Yeah. Because ultimately when you're looking at people, when you talk of intersectionality in your research, you look at people with different ages and from different geographic locations like rural and remote. And you're also looking at that angle where people are facing a lot of other crises with mental health and emotional. So how we can help and support them through interdisciplinary approaches in psychosocial oncology. So what do you think are next steps from this research grant?
I think from this research or from this exercise, the next step should be the recommendation to adhere, to design better policies, to better processes, so that leadership and researchers, they can also gain insight into the real data. That's the first thing, because it should not be like research happened, there is a result, but that result is not visible to anyone. Based on this result, I think a strategy should be there, how to use them, how do we promote other cares, other options in the environment. And whatever happened with these patients, it has happened, but if they have the fear post cancer, how do we address them? That's the one thing. Second thing is, from the data itself, when we plan a research, it should also enable those hidden aspects that we could not slice and dice from this current data. I think that advanced research should be the option. The third thing that I see from this research and from this exercise is leadership blessing is the necessary, because they need to provide resources. They need to see this as an evidence-based research, because this is going to provide a baseline for the next step. The strategy cannot be defined without any evidences. These evidences will be the base for the strategy. And as you mentioned, communication is the key. So for patients who are in the fear or who are experiencing these early symptoms, that communication should be there in the social media, in the groups and the websites or any resources that we have. because we need to utilize every resource that we have available.
Thank you very much, Prashant. Do you have any questions for me, like as we are going through the research grant?
I have one question because, and I think, this is just from my curiosity, and as I have seen the data, this is just coming up in my head. Is there any resource that researcher can also use for advanced research? Like when they get the data, they analyze this information, how do they promote or showcase these results to the authorities? Obviously, we are going to provide recommendations, but I think it would be important if we have a monthly forum or a quarterly forum with authorities and tell them, like, this is the outcome that we have we have seen, and this is how it's going to help them. So a regular communication with any tool, I think that would be important, because it's very difficult to have face-to-face or in-person interaction with authorities, but if we have a regular tool where we can submit our recommendations and get their feedback as well, it would be really good. So that was my question. Is there any tool or is there any process that we can establish?
I think that's a very important question that we are navigating in the research grant, because we work very closely with the health partners and also with community organizations. So this findings from the research study translated into knowledge and into different media like infographics and our research manuscripts, and our workshop and summit is the place where we want to bring it to to different authorities who work with people and also organizations who work with the people living with cancer and also their family members. So I think it's important to keep doing the work that we are doing and also promoting that work in different ways we can. And one of that is like having Cafe Scientifique, the consortium, and even having this newsletter, like you said, reports, smaller reports and infographics shared with them, and bringing to the table of the people who work with the at a higher level, working and looking at different resources shared in the region, so that the care coordination and also the communication and also the collaboration of care exists between different interdisciplinary team members who are supporting people in their psychosocial oncology and in the way they are going through.